Good afternoon to you. Very warm day in Mildura. Some more accounts of the long walk down the Murray that I undertook in 2015. These are some rest days in Melbourne, the 76th day. I'm chopping some parsley very finely. Then I suddenly stop and look up through my daughter's kitchen window into the garden next door. I miss walking far more than I'd expected. Perhaps more than the walking itself. Although my body craves it, it's the structure of the day that I miss. The predictability of the broad sweeps of time that are filled by totally unpredictable unfolding of events as I traverse unknown terrain, both physical and mental, entirely at my own pace. The rate of my movement through the space I so inhabit cannot be accelerated, or at best only minimally. Consequently, it's impossible to leave myself behind or to distract myself with all of the devices I usually have at hand. This implies that I eventually need to negotiate the subsequent loss of control, even though paradoxically I might seem to be completely controlling my day by reducing the number of actions I engage in. But it's the immense space inside the boundaries of each action that cannot, must not, will not be controlled. That's what I yearn for, the sense of spaciousness and the absence of any determination I might have upon it, for I can recognize some of myself in such spaces. The shards of my forgotten, perhaps hidden selves, those that normally accumulate in the corners of my life, can here be held up to the light of day and examined. Away from the spaciousness, I usually fragment into shards. But when inside it, as if by some gravity other than the one that regulates our known universe, I'm able to accumulate together into the form I've always known. So I continue to chop the parsley. The water in the pot is now boiling, so I turn the gas down. Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I catch something moving, or perhaps laying immutably still there, just in that corner. Or perhaps it's in this one, over here. The 77th day also in Melbourne. Parsley also grows in this garden, though its leaves are sparser, paler, flatter and larger than those of the dense green parsley sold at Mecca's fruit shop. There's something so uplifting about walking home carrying vegetables and fruit, bursting with life. The range and power of such uplifting lasts about an afternoon, perhaps a whole day, when in the late evening the sky also clears in the west and you suddenly remember how a neighbour smiled encouragingly at you after glancing at the contents of your bag. I think all this as I water the little garden in the early morning. And then I think, might this be the day I finally get to have a game of tennis at the Veneto Club? Yes, and so I do. I'm the first to arrive, so I sweep the lines and then water the same court I've played on since 1973. Lou then dawdles in, then Paolo, then Tony, and then Renzo. The last to arrive has to wait until the first set is finished. Then the losers step out and allow the latecomers to replace them. Consequently, the race is on to win the first set so that there is no interruption to playing. It's hard to revive aging legs once you have to sit out for 30 or 40 minutes. On such occasions, the same things have been said by the same people to the same people each Saturday afternoon for the last 30 years. But we continue to gather together and to speak our language and make fun of each other whilst competing fiercely, as only aging men trying to prove a point to each other can. We've seen how each of us has gotten older and slower and heavier. And though some of us have already departed, we pretend that our physical deterioration is only a temporary glitch in our Italian universe, readily reversible if only we could be bothered to do the right thing by our bodies. But we make do, and we say so to each other. It's okay as it is, we affirm. We are conscious of the benevolent weather, and we acknowledge our supreme good fortune that on such afternoons we're here, running, laughing, and jumping like kids, forgetting for a brief moment whatever bitterness we have managed to gather in our lives. After the early enthusiasm peters out, and even walking to the other end of the court becomes an effort, most then retire to play cards and drink beer in the lounge upstairs. I always make an excuse and leave. But before I can escape, Paolo asks me how the walk is going. Have I found myself yet? Oh no, I retort. That's not possible, but I like looking. He leans against the bonnet of his car, looks away and says softly to no one in particular, "Why do I not care about such things?" I'm unsure whether he's asking himself or me. For a moment, as he turns towards me, I can see genuine curiosity in his eyes, but it fades quickly. He changes the subject. "I'm going to Thailand in February," he says. Each week, Paolo sends a number of emails to his friends outlining the contradictions that he sees in other cultures and other religions. He has yet to send one describing the paradoxes and contradictions that have afflicted Italian culture since time immemorial. Paolo has a young Thai wife with whom he runs a takeaway cafe in Raouville. He has no sense of how his lived life contradicts his declared beliefs. "I'm hard," he suddenly confesses, looking down. "I don't know if I'm cold or strong, but such things don't move me." He's referring to his sense of me as a searcher for meaning, entirely constructed through his own commitment to it, a commitment far deeper and more genuine than mine. "But you're an artist, you love to search," he says. To convince him that it's otherwise, that his sense of me is misplaced, that I have no search in place, that whatever he observes of me is generated only by a need to escape the void, not by a need to search for a particular outcome, would take a lifetime. My so-called search is simply pure, terrified, most urgent escape. He looks up and follows up his last statement by waving his hands in the air, alluding to the great spaces beyond. Clearly, words are not enough to describe where he senses this search might be taking place. But as he waves his hands above his head, is he alluding to what simply lies beyond Bulleen, or to what lies beyond the world? I ask him that. He smiles, then blurts out, "I'm going upstairs to play cards." "Come on," he says, "you come too. I'll buy you a beer." I wish that I could find some kind of solace, satisfaction in playing cards. But I've tried, I just can't. Until tomorrow.